Hidden from the eyes of the empire, beneath the cover of mist and silence, a new order begins to take shape, not in palaces, not under crowns, but in the will of those who dare to build. In the hills of Cavite, José Rizal, Andrés Bonifacio, Emilio Aguinaldo, Apolinario Mabini, and Antonio Luna gather, not as rebels, but as founders, a government not yet seen, but already real. And with a single oath, the first foundation of a nation is laid. While others prepare for war, he prepares something greater, the mind. In the quiet fields of Laguna, a hidden school begins to grow. Lessons are no longer just letters and numbers, but identity, history, purpose, guided by steady hands and patient wisdom. Each word written becomes a step toward freedom. Because not all revolutions begin with weapons. Some begin with understanding. In the shadows of everyday life, another force rises. Not soldiers born in ranks, but men of the fields, of the streets, of the sea. Under the leadership of Andrés Bonifacio, they train in silence. They adapt. They learn. With what little they have, they prepare for what is to come. Because when the storm arrives, they will not be waiting. They will be ready. Beyond the islands, beyond the reach of the Spanish crown, another power begins to watch. In the halls of Tokyo, quiet decisions carry great weight, not with conquest in mind, but with vision, a future where nations of the East rise together, and in silence, without declaration, an alliance begins to form, unseen, but not without consequence. But no secret remains hidden forever. In the streets of Manila, the empire begins to see what has been growing beneath its feet. Documents are seized, messages intercepted, and whispers become fear. A government not sanctioned, not controlled, but real. And as the truth unfolds, the illusion of control begins to break. The clock has started. We were once dreamers, believing in change, hoping for a future not yet written. But now, we are builders. We are fighters. A nation no longer waiting, but rising. From the mountains of Luzon, to the shores of Visayas, to the distant lands of Mindanao, a single flame is carried and passed on, not with a single spark, but with a fire that cannot be stopped. The storm does not always begin with thunder. Sometimes it begins in silence. In the heart of Manila, José Rizal walks freely for the last time. No warning, no warrant, only the weight of an empire closing in. And with a single command, the flame is taken into darkness. In the halls of power, fear begins to speak. The empire does not fear a man. It fears what he inspires. To kill him is to risk a revolution. To free him is to lose control. So they choose another path. Not justice, but pressure. A nation is given a choice. Betray itself, or watch its voice be silenced. In the shadows, unity begins to fracture. Andrés Bonifacio calls for fire. Apolinario Mabini calls for patience. Emilio Aguinaldo calls for strategy. Different paths, one impossible choice. But from beyond the conflict, a new path emerges, one that crosses the sea. Because sometimes, the fight for a nation must reach beyond its shores. Behind iron doors, where light barely reaches, the voice of a nation continues to write. José Rizal does not rage. He does not beg. He writes, not for himself, but for those who will carry what comes next. Because even in chains, the mind remains free. And even in darkness, the flame endures. Across the sea, a single voice carries the weight of a nation, not with weapons, but with truth. Because the death of one man is no longer just a colonial act. It becomes a message to the world, and for the first time, the world begins to listen. 9 days pass, and the silence breaks. The people rise, not with weapons, but with presence. In the forests, in the streets, in the hearts of those who refuse to bow, something begins to awaken. The rifles are raised, the orders prepared, the empire ready to strike. But as the final moment approaches, as history holds its breath, something answers. Not from the land, but from the sea. And with its arrival, the balance of power